In 1930, Ernest Hemingway narrowly escaped death in a violent storm at sea. By sheer luck, an old fisherman appeared in time and pulled him back from the jaws of death. Later in a conversation, the fisherman shared a story with Hemingway, a tale of a long, brutal fishing trip he once endured. That story moved Hemingway deeply. In 1951, inspired by this encounter, Hemingway wrote a nearly 40,000-word novella. Within just 48 hours of publication, the book sold over 5 million copies, breaking all previous records in publishing history. That book was The Old Man and the Sea, Hemingway's final work of fiction. It tells the story of Santiago, an aging Cuban fisherman who ventures alone into the deep sea for one last attempt to catch a great fish. Though mocked by others, worn down by age, and faced with exhaustion, sharks, and setbacks, Santiago relies on a singular force, his will. And that's the soul of this story. When your mindset is strong enough, there are no such things as hopeless situations. Santiago survives by fishing near the coast. Now, he's gone 84 days without catching a single fish. And this isn't even his longest dry spell. He once went 87 days without a catch. While other fishermen return with full nets, Santiago comes back with nothing. People in town whisper, maybe he's cursed, maybe just unlucky. Even the young boy who used to follow Santiago has been sent by his parents to fish with more successful boats. Without fish, Santiago has no income. Even food becomes a problem. At mealtime, he imagines a steaming pot of yellow rice and fish just to feel full, but most days he only fishes and doesn't eat. And yet, none of this breaks Santiago. Still, he laughs and says, 85 is a lucky number. Want to see me catch a fish over 1,000 pounds? He still holds passion for the sea. On the 85th day, before dawn, he sets sail again, this time farther than ever before. Do you know why a river's never straight? Because rivers must flow around obstacles. That's the only way they can keep going. And so it is with life. Setbacks are inevitable. Life bends, twists, and resists. But once you accept that hardship is part of the journey, you begin to see that detours aren't dead ends. They're just the river finding its way. On the 85th day, Santiago rows into waters 700 fathoms deep. Soon, he catches a tuna, a good sign. But then, something even bigger bites, a massive marlin. At first, he's thrilled, but that thrill quickly fades. This marlin isn't giving in easily. The fish drags his small skiff farther and farther into the open ocean. Soon, land disappears. The marlin shows no sign of stopping. Days pass. Santiago's hands bleed from pulling the line. His back aches, his strength fades. Still, he won't give up. He tells himself, I'm not cramped, I'm strong. It's only that fish that's been hooked, not me. Even injured and sleep deprived, he keeps thinking clearly, following his plan, inch by inch. On the third day of this battle, the marlin finally rises to the surface. With precise timing, Santiago thrusts his harpoon and lands the kill. But the sea is not done testing him. The marlin's blood attracts sharks. He fends off the first one, but more follow. Each shark comes directly for the marlin, as if summoned by fate. Santiago fights with every tool he has, his harpoon, an oar, even the tiller of his boat. He is exhausted, but refuses to retreat. By midnight, the sharks return. Santiago has no weapons left. His vision blurs from fatigue, so he fights by instinct alone, swinging blindly with a broken stick. When that too is lost, he wrenches the tiller from his boat and stabs the final shark. The sea goes quiet again. Santiago is spent, but feels strangely peaceful. He thinks, the boat is fine, nothing is ruined except the tiller, and that can be replaced. The marlin, once magnificent, has been eaten down to its skeleton. But Santiago no longer cares. He has faced the sea, the marlin, and the sharks, and he never backed down. The next morning, the villagers gather to stare in awe at the fish's enormous bones. Those who once mocked him now fall silent. The boy returns, promising to fish by his side once again. Santiago tells him, "We need a proper harpoon. Let's sharpen steel, let's prepare." He's already planning his next voyage. In 1954, Hemingway won the Nobel Prize in Literature for The Old Man and the Sea. To this day, Santiago remains a symbol of perseverance and silent strength. He returned with nothing but a skeleton, but that skeleton earned more respect than 1,000 full nets. He turned every low into a lesson, every fall into a step forward. As the book's most famous line says, "A man can be destroyed, but not defeated." In life, we don't always get the outcome we hoped for. It's tempting to believe that effort should always be rewarded. But life doesn't work that way. Success is rare. Failure is common. And effort doesn't always bring visible rewards. But that doesn't make the effort meaningless. Santiago went out to sea every day, knowing he might return empty-handed. But he still went. He kept fishing, not because he knew he'd win, but because the act of trying defined him. Because struggling with nature, with fate, with himself, is what gave his life meaning. And maybe that's what it means to live with courage. We all face hardship. We can't predict when success will arrive, but we can show up. We can stay exact. Every disappointment builds resilience. Every act of courage strengthens the soul. And every drop of effort poured from the depths of who we are etches itself into something eternal. If we work on our mindset, if we strengthen it like Santiago did, then even in the harshest seas, we stay afloat. Because in the end, it's not about the fish. It's about the fire you keep alive inside.